Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and in this video what I want to do is show you how to use Liquid.js templates with Express. Okay, it's just another, Liquid.js is technically the templating library that's used for Shopify websites. So a good reason to know it is, if you need to help someone with a Shopify website, knowing Liquid is going to be useful. But hey, if you want to use it not just in your Shopify websites, but in your Express applications, you can do that too. So let's go over it. So I'm going to make a new project here. Okay, so I'll have this from my previous video. So let's make a new one, open folder. And let's make a Liquid Express folder. Okay. And now let's do this. Let's open that. And let's just set up Express first. So let me just do that real quick. Okay, I'm not going to walk through it at this point. If you're watching this video, I'm assuming you're familiar with Express. So I'm going to be like npm init-y to set up my package.json. Then I want to install Express and Liquid.js is the library. So I'm going to install those. I'm going to create a server. Oh. I'm going to create a server.js as the file we'll create our server in. And I'm going to const express equals require express const liquid.js equals require liquid.js. Okay, and I want to have my listener. So first I have to create the application object. So const app equals express. And then we can create our listener, app.listen. And we'll listen on port 2021 since that's the year. And console.log listening on port 2021. Okay, fine. Okay, so we got that set up. So there's our basic Express, just minimal setup. So let's see how we set up Liquid now that we have it installed. So again, this should show you how to do it in different libraries. Oh, we're gonna have to go read the setup guide here. Okay, in case you're not familiar with Liquid template language, via npm, Liquid.js in browsers, which is cool that you can use that in the browser. That's neat. CLI. How is this going to work? Echo hello. Import liquid from liquid.js, const engine. But then console.log. Okay, so let's see here. Require liquid.js. So then we need to create a new engine. So var engine new liquid. So const engine equals new liquid.js. Let me just see here. Is that how we're doing this? Oh, I see. There's a dot liquid there. That's basically what we're doing there. New liquid.js. So that's going to create the new engine. And parse and render. Now there should be a way for me to connect. Here we go. Use an Express.js. Thank you. Yep, that's what I was looking for. Okay, so we just connect that there. Okay, so we just do app.engine. App.engine sets the rendering engine for this Express app. App.engine. Okay, and then we want to use engine dot. And see, we have one for Express. Let me see, do they have ones for other? Like, I see Koa Fastify in there. No. But I remember setting it up in Fastify wasn't too bad. And I haven't set it up in Koa before, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. So, Express. And then, let me just see, what else was the first period? Liquid. And that's just the file extension. So basically, it's going to say, hey, I want to render files with an extension of Liquid, and they are going to use this engine here. That's the deal. Okay. Cool. And that, well, that should be straightforward. Okay, so now that we have the view engine set up, so let me actually just break this code down. Like, import dependencies. That's what that is. And then here, we're setting up the view engine. And then here's our app listener. Okay, so then basically let's just render our route. Okay, so app.get, we'll just make this our root route. We'll pass in res res.render, and then I'm going to want to render a file called index. It should automatically pick up on the file extension of Liquid because we set up the engine that way, so we'll make sure that's the case. So let's just see if that works. So I should have to create a folder called views, because by default Express always looks for all your templates in a views folder. In the same way like Django and basically Python, it's always the default is a templates folder. Okay, new file, views. We want to make index.liquid. And before we actually use any liquid syntax, let's just make sure that it shows up. H1 hello world. Okay. And yeah, let's run the server. Node server.js. Okay, it's listening on port 2021. Localhost 2021. No default engine was specified and no extension was provided. Okay, so it does want me to provide the extension. So in that case, we want to specify the file name. Okay, in that case, it'll, based on the file name, the file extension will use the Liquid engine. So let's try that again. But I gotta restart the server. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, and it works. Okay, good. So that's all up and working. Okay, so now we can actually start trying out different like Liquid syntax. So let's head over here and start looking into the syntax. Okay, and bottom line here, let's see here. Liquid.js is a simple expressive. Liquid is relatively simple. And value consists of a value and the list of filters, which are optional, wrapped between : : So a tag consists of a tag name and optional arguments between. So these are tags, these are outputs. So if I need to inject a variable, I'm going to do that. And then if I need to do some sort of like programming thing, I'm going to use the percentage signs. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. Okay, now how do I know what data I'm sending to the template? The way the res.render function works is that the second argument can always be an object. Okay, an object with data that you want to send over. That's just the way Express works. So it doesn't matter what templating engine you work. Once you set up the templating engine in Express, res.render will say, okay, hey, render this template with this data. So first we'll just start off with greeting. And then we'll just say hello world. So now I'm going to update the template and then change this to say greeting. Okay, so now we see that it says greeting right there in the H1. So I'm going to restart the server. And let's try this again. Should say still say hello world, and it does. Okay. Now what happens if I change the data here? So let's change this to goodbye world. And again, anytime I make changes to the JavaScript file, I have to restart the server. So that way it gets loaded into memory. Okay, unless I use Nodamon, but I don't think we're going to be doing this long enough that it's worth setting up Nodamon right now. And see, it changes to goodbye world. So what's going to happen is that whenever this function runs, it passes this object to the template, to the engine, and the engine is going to look for anytime I use a variable and inject them in the placeholders that I use. Pretty straightforward. Okay, but usually templating engines are pretty cool because you can do even cooler stuff with them, like looping. So for example, let's say, well, first let's do show. I'll make that false. Okay, so let's say I want to conditionally show something. So we should be able to do like an if statement. So see here we do if. Okay. So I can do something like this. Again, percentage sign, close percentage sign. So I would do if show equals true, then we'd show, you know, an H1 that says this is true. And we can say else. So if that is not true, we can say H1, this is false. And then I have to do the end if. Okay. And notice I didn't use 3 equal signs. I didn't do like strict equality because this is not necessarily JavaScript. Like Liquid is used in many different languages. Okay, so you know I don't want to necessarily assume that it'll just take strict equality. But okay, so restart the server, and now if I re-render the template, see this is false currently. Now again, now let's go back and change show to true. Okay. This is true. Okay, so you can put logic in your templates. That's the beauty of it. I can like, I mean, you could do this in things like React, Angular, Vue, but the idea is that this is being rendered on the server, while React, Vue, and Angular are being rendered on the client, meaning they're being rendered in the user's browser. That's sort of the fundamental difference. And then Liquid is just again the templating language that Shopify uses. So we can do stuff like that. And you can assign variables this way, so you can actually create variables in your template. That's pretty cool. Okay. And I'm assuming that's going to be much more useful in Shopify because here we can pass variables to the template. I'm not sure. I don't know how Shopify works. I'm assuming you don't really have access to the underlying code, so you're going to have to assign the variables in your template as you build it. Cool. And see, there's different things you can do. So like here we say username or append. Welcome to. Oh, so here you're appending things. We'll get into all that. Let's just keep going. Outputs used to output other variables, which can be transformed by filters into HTML. The following template will be insert the value username into the input's value. Variables can be transformed by filters before output to append a string after the variable. Okay. Oh, I see. So you're saying, okay, this variable, then this string. That's fine. A complete list of filters can be shown here. So these are all the different filters inside of Liquid. And here we have array filters. Neat. So we can map. We can map inside of Liquid. That's really cool. Okay, they really built a lot into this, which makes sense because again, if you're probably doing a Shopify website, this is probably where you have to do really kind of a lot of your coding. There's not going to sort of be a simple way to do JavaScript. Because you're probably not having the same kind of access to the underlying code as you would if, like I do right now, just making Express. So I don't necessarily need all these features. But it's cool that that's there. Cool. And then again, here you can see all the different ones. But what I want to do is make a loop. So let's go find the. I'm pretty sure it's just 4, but I just want to make sure we see it. Tags. Okay, here we go. Here's all the tags. So here we can go for loop for. Okay, so it's 4 in. See, glad I checked. Okay, so if I want to send this an array, so I will send nums, and it'll be an array of numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I go over here and I can just like loop over it by saying for num in nums. And then again, we can just say end for. And if you ever use like Svelte, like they use a very similar syntax for how they do front-end templating, which is really nice. It's one of the things I really like about Svelte is like they don't make things like it's just a very sort of it gives you a very old school way of doing something in a very new school style. Svelte is cool. Okay, but for num and nums, essentially whatever I want to do for each num, I just want to make an H1, and each H1 will have the num inside of it. So that num represents like the current number in the array. So it'll loop once for the first number, then the second number, then the third number. Each time that number gets stored in num. But I got to restart the server so that way it receives the array. And then let's try it out. Oh, wait, I know what I did. I didn't wrap num in curly brackets. Boop, boop. Boop, boop. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can loop through things. Pretty nice. Let's take a look at some of these other ones. Again, this assigns variables, capture the string inside of the opening and closing tags and assign it to a variable. Okay. And then, oh, I see. Okay, so you're gonna say, hey, everything in here is inside this variable so that we can use it somewhere else. That's kind of cool. Okay, creates a, okay, this is like a switch statement. Oh, you can do switches. Nice. Cycle loops through a group of strings in order which they are passed as arguments. Each time the cycle is called, the next string argument is printed. Not sure why I would use that. Because if I know the order of the strings, I don't know why it wouldn't just be easier just to type that out. Cycle accepts as the group. Yes, that's still, I'm not sold on that one. Comments, okay, again, this is, okay, you just have a tag called comment to write comments. Decrement's probably pretty straightforward. Yeah, it just subtracts. Include, okay, that's deprecated anyways. Increment, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Layout, this is how you would inject the layout. So this way you don't have to like do big chunks of the page over and over again. So basically what you would do, let's see here, renders a current template inside of a layout template from a template roots. When the xname option is set, the above.liquid extension can be omitted in writes. Okay, passing variables. Defining the current template can be passed to the layout template by listing them as parameters. Okay, the layout file can contain multiple blocks, which is populated by the child template. Okay, yeah, okay, this just works like pretty much any templating language's layout. So you would create like a layout file, and you would just say blocks. You say, hey, when anyone uses this layout, you're going to put them in these blocks. And then here you're just saying, hey, inject this file in the block. Okay. Let's see, the layout contain multiple blocks, which can be populated by child template, the color. For example, we have a default layout.liquid, the following contents. Header, the block content, by default content. And it's called by a page.liquid file with the layout tag layout default layout. Okay, block content, my page content. Well, let's just do this. I'm going to create a new file called layout.liquid. It's layout.liquid. Rename liquid. And I'm just going to kind of prove the point, we're going to do an h1 that says header. So theoretically you put like all your header code there, and h1 that says footer, and then in the middle we'll put our block. Okay, and let's get what the syntax is. Block content. Okay, and that's essentially how we would do that. So this would be percentage block content, and then we'd say fine, and it was end block, yep. So this was, so basically I'm saying, hey, if anyone uses this template or uses this file as a template, inject anything that goes in the content block here. Okay, so now I can go over here, and then we're going to use the layout and say, hey, we're going to use this particular layout. Okay, so I'll put that over here. Layout dot liquid. And then what I can do is I can say all this content will belong in the block of content. Okay, and then what I do there, and name, see here. Okay, and then I would end the block here. So basically what's happening is that's going to treat everything in here as what should be injected in the layout with a block of the same name, which would be here. So now if I render the page, oh, layout like look at not available. Okay, I'm assuming we're going to need to give it a relative file name. So let me try this, / layout. It's in the same folder, layout.liquid, layout.liquid. So let's try that out. Oh, hope it doesn't like that either. Argument, illegal argument. E2's not like it. Let's see here. Layout. Oh, we had to put in quotation marks. That's the deal. Layout dot liquid. There we go. And there you go. So you can see, like, there's the header. So that's from the layout. And then our index.liquid got injected inside the layout. So essentially, I could just build out my header and footer. It's kind of like if you built a header and footer component in React and just put them at the top and bottom of every page. Okay. And then, yeah. Or making a layout component with props.children. But same idea. But yeah, so you have all the power of your normal templating libraries, plus you got a lot of other cool functions. Let's see what else we got here. Raw template disables tag processing. So basically, if you just want to show like raw text, like if you were creating a tutorial on Liquid, but you're programming the site in Liquid, you would use this so that we can show those code snippets. Render a template. Okay, this renders a partial template from the template roots. Okay, so this is if you want to do partials. So if you have like, let's say you did create like a header Liquid and a footer Liquid and you just wanted to render that code in the file, that's what that is. Table row. Okay. Table row product and collections. Okay, this makes it easy to generate a table. That's cool. Unless, got it. So I'm assuming that when they originally, I'm assuming Shopify uses Ruby on Rails in the background, because unless it's like a Ruby thing, so I'm assuming this was originally the people who built Liquid are Ruby people. And there are other languages with unless, maybe Perl, but more than likely I'm going to assume Ruby is where they're coming from. Cool. Let's go back to the filters and just see if there's other cool ones. Let's see how the map works. So assign all categories, map category. So for each item in all, assign all categories equals site.pages map category. So it creates an array of values by extracting the values of a named property from another object. Okay, so in this example, we assume that the object site.pages contains all the metadata for a website. Using assign, the map filter creates a variable that contains only the values of the category property of everything in the site.pages object. Okay. So I'm going to assume like this is like site.pages is an array, and you're just saying, hey, for everything in this array, go get me category, and then this becomes an array of those strings essentially. Okay, I guess it's a thing. Where? Okay, so I guess this is where you want, if you want to do like, it's like a filter basically, and you're just going to say, I only want to do things where this property is this. Okay, I get it. There's a lot of cool stuff here, but that's Liquid, and then it's easily used in your Express. And again, you can, if you always want to add some front-end magic to it, you can always, the great thing with templates nowadays is you can incorporate things like HTMX and Alpine, and you can get some front-end magic with it. I'm not going to get into Alpine and HTMX in this video because I've done videos on them already, and I have some more videos coming up. But yeah, check it out. My name is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. Have a great day and enjoy.